Hey everybody, welcome to KimmelsIrishPub.com. Time for another movie review. Tonight's movie is The Big Sick, starring Kimmel Nanjiani, I think is how you pronounce it, whatever. Look it up on IMDb, the link's below to all the actors' names. But you'll recognize him, Pakistani-born comedian. Franklin and Bash is the first thing that I've ever seen him in. Now I've seen him everywhere because he's pretty funny, he's pretty good. But if you haven't seen Franklin and Bash, check it out. I really enjoyed that show. I'm disappointed it got canceled. I was hoping somebody else would pick that up. But enough about that. Back to this. This is about his relationship with an American girl. And I think she's a grad student or something like that. And I think she gets sick. So they're different cultures and how they're interacting. Him with her parents, her with his parents, those types of things. Don't know much more than that, so I'm going to start watching it here, and then I'll check back in a little bit and let you know how it's going. Right. Hey everybody, time for a quick check-in. We're at the 36-minute and 59-second mark of The Big Sick. And one of the things I forgot to mention, IMDb has this rated at an 8, and then Rotten Tomatoes, the critics have it at a 98%, and the users have it at 90%, so high expectations for this movie. And I've watched the first 30 minutes of it, and I mean, he's a comedian, so there's a lot of, jokes within his monologues and stuff like that. And then his friends are all comedians, so they're kind of funny too. But it's not over the top funny. Something I read, it was like gut-busting funny. I haven't had that yet. I had a couple of giggles out loud, but that's about it. What has happened so far is they've met, him and his girlfriend. They met at the comedy club, whatever, and they started a relationship. They were both reluctant, or she was at least reluctant to get in a relationship at first, but they get in a relationship. Meanwhile, his mother is trying to arrange his marriage. That's what they do in Pakistan. They arrange the marriage. The parents pick out the bride, and their son has to marry them. And it's like completely forbidden for him to go outside of that tradition. And by him dating this Emily, he is going outside of that. Now, he hasn't introduced her to the parents or anything like that, but she has just realized what's happening. Emily, his girlfriend, now realizes that his parents don't know about her because he's keeping it a secret because of this tradition, and they just had a big blowout, where she left and said, "Don't call me," all that kind of stuff. Well, obviously, they're probably going to get back together, but it's going to be interesting to see how they move forward, because he doesn't want to lose his family. He has a cousin who married an Irish girl, and no one's allowed to talk to him anymore. So that's the dilemma he's dealing with, his family or his girlfriend. And that's where we are so far. This movie runtime is 2 hours, so there's a lot more to go. But I just thought I'd share that little bit with you, and I'll check back in if anything interesting happens. Hey everybody, right. Time for a quick check-in here. We're at the 1 hour, 34 minute, and 21 second. So it's been almost an hour since I checked in on my last one. I have everybody up to date on where we were at that point. Now, what has happened so far is she finally gets sick. So I think that was in the synopsis. They aren't married, they're boyfriend-girlfriend. And they had that blowout, and right after the blowout, her roommate calls and says she's sick, she's in the hospital. So he goes down to the hospital and signs some papers so that they can put her in an induced coma, a medically induced coma. He lies and says he's the husband because that's what really needs to happen. And then he calls her parents. So Holly Hunter and Ray Romano are her parents. So at least Ray Romano adds a lot of humor. Holly Hunter, not so much, but he's a funny guy. Everybody loves Raymond. So there's a lot more funny parts in this, and it's good. But it's also heavy, you know what I mean? Because she's sick. You don't know what's going to happen with her. And then it's the building of the relationship between Kimmel and her two parents, and then him dealing with his parents as well, because they still want to arrange his marriage, and that's continuing to go on throughout this whole thing. So there is some real funny parts. I did laugh out loud a little bit more throughout the movie, but then again, it's also heavy, because of the threat of her dying and things like that. So that's all I have for now. I wanted to check in real quick, but I am enjoying the movie. We have just under a half hour left, so I'll check back in on the credits and give you my full review at that point. Ready? All right, we're at the credits of The Big Sick. It just ended, and without sharing any spoilers, it's hard to elaborate on it. So I'll do my best I can until I get to the part where I tell you there's going to be spoilers. But it continued on the way it was going. There was a lot more humor. I did like it a lot. I think the best thing I could do is probably give it the rating now. I am probably at a 7.5. I don't know, 7.5. I'm almost at a 7. It was really good. One thing that I failed to mention, because I thought I read this while I was looking for a movie to watch, that this is based on true events. This is really his life. So I thought that's what I read, but now at the end of the film, they come forward and basically tell you this was based on his life and the events of it. So without getting into any more detail, I enjoyed the film. I thought it was funny. Like I said, a little bit heavy at times, and it makes it even better. And I think, knowing that it was based on true life events, I think I will go with an 8. I was going to side towards a 7, but now the way that they did this, I thought it ended up pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and give it an 8. Now I'm going to talk a little bit more freely, so I'm going to do some spoilers. So if you don't want to hear the spoilers, go ahead and turn this off or pause it. Alright, so basically what happens is she gets sick. We know that. He starts to, realize that, his dilemma was his parents or her. And he comes to the realization it should be her. And he does everything he can to try and, be there for her. She does eventually get better. But she has now woken up from her long coma, but when she went to bed, she still didn't like him. So now he's got to try and earn her back or win her back over. And that's what the last part of the movie is about. It's about him trying to win her over and eventually, marry her. Because it is actually the movie about him and his wife. She becomes the wife. So it's not so much of a spoiler, because if you found the same things that I found, that he is married, he married this girl who got sick, you have to know that she's going to get better and they're going to get married. So it's really not a spoiler, but in case you didn't do as much research on it, it might be a spoiler for you. But I think the very interesting thing was the fact that how his parents will disown him. Like, how could you disown any one of your kids? Especially when you love them and all they're doing is choosing a different spouse than what you have chosen for them. They're breaking their tradition. So it's interesting. It's interesting to me because I don't think I have a tradition like that. That would cause me to disown my children. But you could see how serious they are in the Muslim community about following these traditions. And it's so much so that they showed the final piece of it, where the father comes in a taxi with the mother. She wouldn't even get out. She wouldn't look at him. She wouldn't do anything. So it's a mother who has now written off her own son because he was, at the time, was previously in a relationship with a non-Muslim woman. At this part of the movie, they were still broken up, but she still wouldn't even talk to him. Then, at the end, when the credits roll, this is what shows you that this was based on a true story. They show pictures of him with his actual wife. Like, this is the real Emily. That was, who the actress portrayed. But they show pictures of it. They show pictures of the marriage. Their marriage mass, I guess, or whatever it is. But they show, the priest or the person who married them, him, his wife, and the only other person there from his family is his brother. So I don't even think his parents went to the wedding or anything like that. He must truly be disowned. So that's something I might look into to see if it's, if that continues on or if they've gotten back together. His whole thing was that you can't kick me out of this family. I'm always going to be a part of it. So it'll be interesting to see how far that went. But all in all, knowing that it's a true story, there is a lot of laugh out loud moments. I wouldn't say it's gut busting, but there are some funny moments, and I enjoyed it a lot. And although it was heavy, it's based on a true story, so I enjoyed it. I'm going to give it an 8. Let me know what you think. Give me some comments. Like my YouTube channel. Hit the bell so you know when those things go on. All that kind of stuff, whatever. I'd really be interested in hearing it from you, and let me know what you think, if you agree or disagree. But I won't go on any longer than that. I'm going to close it out for tonight, and thank you for joining KimmelsIrishPub.com.